Hello, good evening, and welcome to another edition of the CantinaMX podcast at our customary Thursday evening sort of time slot. Running a little late, but here we are. Just got finished with the Conca Champions, the second leg between Monterrey and Sporting Kansas City, or as they call them on Univision, Kansas. And Monterrey winning 5-2 with the result of yesterday's 3-2 loss by Tigres over Santos, but winning 5-3 on aggregate. We have, in my opinion, one of the great rivalries in the world of soccer, the Clásico Regio, but we have a final Regia is what we have in the Conca Champions between Tigres and Monterrey. Will Tigres finally get to go to the Club World Cup? This is their third Conca Champions final, and they have yet to win it. So we'll see what happens in the Conca Champions, and we'll talk about that. Of course, we have to continue to talk about. We didn't dive deep enough last night on our special late night driving edition of the Gentleman's Agreement with the Tomas Boyd at Chivas News. Of course, we will get into that more. Hopefully, we'll have more of our panelists joining us to discuss that as well. So a lot to get to, as I said. My name is George Gu. With us in beautiful, sunny Irvine, California, Joel Aceves joins us. Joel, how are you, sir?
Greetings, John. Doing pretty good. I'm doing pretty good. The Thomas Boyd news has already calmed.
Yeah, I think things are not. He's already trashed Cardoso, which you knew was coming. He's not he's not a fan of the foreign influence in the in Liga MX, as you know. So he I don't know if I have the exact quote, but he definitely threw some shade at Cardoso, which we'll get to here in a second. But before we do that, Joel, we have another. As our music stings beautifully here, right as we get into the meat of our show, we have another All Mexico final in the Conca Champions. Reading the timeline on the Twitter, people like MLS is a joke. How can you lose 10-2 on aggregate? Blah blah blah. Which it's true, but how quickly people forget, Joel. How quickly people forget that last year an MLS side beat both Tigres and America in the Conca Champions. And then lost in penalty kicks to Chivas in the final. So let's the results play out in MLS's favor this time around? Absolutely not. 10-2 aggregate is it is almost as embarrassing as when Pumas loses to America 6-0 on aggregate in the Liguilla. So it's
ouch.
Oof.
Ouch.
Yeah, almost as embarrassing as that. See, I can't even play it loud because it's too embarrassing.
It's too embarrassing.
It's too embarrassing.
No, I think it's pretty obvious that Liga MX is still, they're still ahead of MLS, especially those clubs. Especially, I would say the top 4 or 5 Liga MX are head over shoulders over MLS.
Sure.
But it sounds like a tired cliche now. The gap is closing. I think it's closed in many regards. They still have long ways to go, but we're seeing things that we shouldn't be ignoring. Like the quality of players that the league keeps attracting.
Sure.
Yeah,
and something and not just the has-beens.
Yeah, that was before, and that's the image that, especially if we're like very pro Mexico, anti MLS, then it's sort of the thing to trash on the league. But and the news going around now is that they're gonna go after Brian Fernandez, one of the top Liga MX goal scorers.
Sure.
Yeah, and it's something that I wouldn't have a few months back, if I would have heard that, I would have been like, yeah, that's wishful thinking. But I mean, the Liga MX lost Rui Diaz to MLS,
They
who
did.
was
They did.
another
There was
top Peruvian international.
well, I mean, it's something that we've talked about here on the show, Joel. It's I mean, I know that people make fun of folks say it's only a matter of time, but as MLS starts, as the team starts spending a little more money for to get a, like you said, a different quality of player. I mean, let's just right now the big importer of talent into MLS is not South America; it's Central America. A lot of Hondurans and
Yeah, Costa
Costa
Ricans.
Ricans, Salvadorians, Trinitarios, etc. And it's like I said, and Panamanians, of course. It's the fact that they're going to start getting more and more South American players. Case in point, Houston Dynamo. They made one of their designated players, a 22-year-old Argentine named Tomas Martinez, who is in his third year and is starting to settle in quite nicely with MLS. They have Dynamo have a Colombian striker, Mauro Manotas, who's a pretty decent player. And and then of course they have they have a handful of Hondurans on their team as well. So the South American talent is going to make it to MLS. And for folks with, and again, this to me is something that is I think that people again tend to forget about Liga MX. Liga MX is what, about 60% South American. I
Yeah,
mean,
pretty much.
yeah, and I would say out of that 60%, say it's 60 players. Out of the 60 players, I would say 50 of them are from either Chile or from Argentina. 90% of their players are coming from those two countries. So yes, does Liga MX attract a better quality? Absolutely they do, because they can pay them. Especially those teams that you mentioned, and I think that we're starting to see. Whereas I think Liga MX for a long time was immune to because of the Regia and how even the teams were and how much parity there was in the league. I think that we're now starting to see, and certainly started by the two Monterrey teams, although they've done it in the past, that we're starting to see some separation of the haves and the have-nots in Liga MX, and it's going to be, again, I don't want to say the toss around the term only a matter of time, but it looks like it's going to start being, within the next couple of years, where there's going to be maybe, a small handful of teams that dominate the league, if it hasn't already started already. And it's because of the fact that they spend 6, 7, 8 times more than everybody else. Is that good for Liga MX? I personally don't think it is. But we're gonna there's gonna be an upper class and a lower class in Liga MX, and unfortunately for you and I, Joel, I don't think that the teams that we follow are going to be in that upper class.
No, unless there's new ownership.
Exactly, on both ends. Exactly.
On both ends, you're gonna need some, you know, a really strong, what is it? Either company come in or just really rich owner. Omni Life
Yeah.
it's not
Has
as
has
it's
the phone
nowhere
has
near.
the phone been ringing, Joel? Have they been trying to
No,
get you?
no, I don't.
No.
I don't qualify. Just a few years back when Leon was bought, it was like 4 million.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, damn, you, that's not a lot. 4 million to get that Leon franchise historical team. Uh, it's very cheap,
Well, yeah.
very cheap.
Think about it. I mean, what are you buying? I mean, they don't really have a stadium.
They don't. It's true, but I mean, this is one of the historic teams. You would think at least 20 million, but no, it was like it was in the bargain bin. And they're owned by Grupo Pachuca, which is, they're not. I mean, that's a team that deserves a primary owner, like that's gonna build them a stadium and invest more. But It is what it is, Yon.
It is, and so we'll have a final Regia Joel. Tigres has been, at least, well, the only other, this happened at the end of the Apertura 17, final Regia, where Tigres lifted the trophy, Joel, in Monterrey Stadium. So Monterrey has not lifted a trophy in their own brand new stadium, but Tigres has, and you got to believe that is something that is quite, and if I could be vulgar for a second, quite ass chapping for
Well, that's where the final is going to
Rayado
be,
fans.
right?
I think it's going to be in the Universitario, but let me double check that. But I'm pretty sure it's going to be at the Uni.
At the uni, I was reading something along because Tigres lost, and if the result went in Monterrey's way, that they would host the final.
Oh, you're right. You're right. It's going to be first leg at the Volcan and the second leg at the Tamanera.
Yeah, goddamn. Third time's a charm, Yon.
Yeah, we'll see what happens because you're one of the players that Chivas cast away, who had become very successful after being let go. Victor Guzman scored the game winner in stoppage time for Pachuca in the first final that was played at the BBVA there at in the Tamalera. So you're right. Let's see if Monterrey can finally do it. Will they be able to lift the trophy in their own new stadium?
Yeah, and these are two teams that are starving for success. We said this at the start of the tournament that they were going to go hard because they've invested so much money and they haven't been able to win anything recently. And you need to start putting up some silverware to justify so much spending. And that's going to
it's the only reason that the lights are on here at the CantinaMX podcast, because we keep winning all those awards.
I think, yeah.
Otherwise, we would have closed up the shop a long time ago. But no, you're right. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, no, they Monterrey especially, they went at the start of the season that they had spent close to 20 million, I think, for an Argentine whose name I keep forgetting. And then after that, they went and
was it Maximiliano Mesa?
I believe so. Yes,
yeah.
From Vélez Sarsfield, if I'm not mistaken, one of those teams. Anyways, then they were like, "But wait, there's more," and they go and they get Layun.
Right, who scored an amazing goal tonight.
Yeah, and like those guys, their salaries are up there.
Sure.
It's a lot of money.
Layun did score a good goal tonight, and it made up for his Gringo Castro like crossing that I was noticing from Layun.
And that's I think one player they were kind of missing. If you're Monterrey, that player that knows how to be a leader within the team. It's one of the things that we've seen happen, that their locker room would like fall apart, and it happened under Turco, and then the coach that followed, and they just had some meltdowns. But I think that's one thing that Layun brings to the table. I think his experience and his leadership.
Right. I mean, and Diego Alonso is no stranger to finals either. I mean, he beat Tigres with Pachuca when he and he beat Monterrey with Pachuca at the Beves. I mean, this is a guy who, the shoe's going to be on the other foot. I just, I make no bones about the fact that I'm a Tuca guy, and I want to see Tuca, go out in style at the Club World Cup, and I think Tigres can. They're not going to go out and do the ridículo like Chivas, and what I mean by that, I think that if Tigres can get past that first round.
Wait, John, I have wait, hold on.
Oh, you have breaking news. Do we need to turn on the foco rojos?
No,
hang on. Okay, here you go.
It's not breaking news.
Okay.
It's not breaking news, but can we call what Chivas did the ridículo when it seems to be the norm for Liga MX teams?
Well, yeah, but that's what every team does. That's what happens. So if Tigres can get by, honestly, is there a South American team? If they play the South American team, that you're like, oh, there's no way that Tigres can beat that team.
Yeah, no, Tigres is a squad. Even Monterrey, that
Again, I'm not
they
saying they're
could.
going to win, but they can certainly. And frankly, unless it's a European like super duper team, like Barcelona or I guess at this point like a Juventus or maybe a Liverpool, then you say okay, there's no way. But if they go up against like an I'm saying again, I'm not saying they're going to win, but I'm not saying that they are going to automatically lose either of these two teams.
Well, even against those super teams, it's not. It's a one match. Anything can happen in a one match,
Right.
game. Uh, but yeah, I think and then those two teams, if they were to reach the Clubs World Cup, whichever one reach, they're gonna spend a bit more money.
Right.
They'll try to bring some, at least one refuerzo to spice things up. But I think what we're seeing right now, I think we could be an intense liguilla just because we have these teams that are like dead set on getting that coveted doblete. They want to finish the season with two championships, which is one thing I've noticed, and I like because it's pushing. It's I say pushing the bar, setting the bar higher.
Right. It's raising the bar.
Oh, there you go. It's racing it. Where do I get these? Anyways, yeah, it's raising the bar because for fans, especially because before with a lot of teams, simply getting to Liguilla was good enough.
Right.
And it was at least we played the playoffs.
Like
But
Chivas.
like, oh yeah, and but I see that. So we had America, just they won the Copa MX and their fans, they celebrated and more than you we thought they would have given their comments.
Exactly.
Before they said it didn't matter, but see, that's a thing where there's gonna be a couple of teams now competing, but at least two teams to wanna have that double championship win at the end of the season. Uh,
You're right, and it makes the games more interesting. I mean, anytime they take it seriously, it's something. That was something that Tigres just, Tigres has been playing this tournament a while, and for the first couple of years that they played it, I mean, I remember, they lose to Seattle Sounders, and and they have half their youth team playing. Tuca just did not care about anything other than the league. No le importaba para nada al Tuca. And I'm not necessarily sure that this is something that he cares about that much more. But I guarantee you, the fact that they play Monterrey, I guarantee you that's going to get both teams' attention. I mean, and it's a lot of fun. And I know that the Clásico Nacional and the Chivas and America and all that stuff. I know it's a big rivalry, but I think the one that is more entertaining, in my opinion, and at least when it comes to derbies, I guess derbies, however you want to say it, is the Monterrey one. I think at least outside of the Boca River one is certainly the most compelling one in the Americas, I think.
yeah, it is. So I mean, we're gonna have some good matchups coming up.
I'm seeing that Heineken commercial about where they missed the goals and Pirlo has a great look on his face when he realizes he misses a goal. It's just really funny.
Such a great player.
It's a good commercial. He has a great expression on his face when it doesn't happen for him. What a great player, man.
He scored that one free kick against Mexico.
Yeah, let's not talk about that goal because that's I have that there was something fishy going on that goal, in my opinion.
Oh, you think Corona let it slide?
I mean, he looked up at it as it was passing by. Like, he didn't even swat at it. He just watched it go by as he was diving.
He was admiring. He was admiring the goal, John.
Yeah.
He's like, not
You
every
guys
day you
probably
get to
all
see a
watching.
Pirlo free kick goal live.
That's right. That's right. You got a first-hand look at what a Pirlo
he,
goal looks like.
he forgot. He
Yeah,
forgot
the best
he
seat in
was
the
a goalkeeper.
house. Exactly. But yeah. So I mean, I firmly believe that the Monterrey Derby is as good a derby as there is, definitely in this part of the world. And I would even say as far as the rest of the world, I would put it in the top 10 for sure, maybe even top 5.
Yeah, it's grown a lot throughout the years, and with all the investment that the club has been doing, I think it could maintain or maybe even get more intense. It depends, it depends on the clubs, but it certainly looks good for the future for them. Just those two clubs, how they've been pushing each other, and I do see man, I lost my train of thought. I do see both of those teams eventually climbing higher because right now it's still the joke about Tigres Nos Grande, and they do these memes and how they're still like little kids, but they're very close, man. Especially with this double torneo and more cups now that are played, and I think within the next 10 years they're gonna be right up there.
Right.
Uh,
Like I said at the beginning of the show, I mean, there's definitely a paradigm change
yes,
happening in Liga MX, and they're the party that's happening right now, Joel. Chivas and Pumas are not invited right now, and Chivas might be invited, but Chivas has to overpay for everything they do. They have to pay double. You
well, I
know,
mean, I think it's true to an extent. I think that when you don't have when you don't have the right people at the club, then they get taken advantage of because I remember when Nestor was there and they weren't having problems. They brought in a lot of good players like Carmona and Bofo, and they just knew who to deal with, when to deal with, what players to go after, and whatnot. And it wasn't scandalous, and they weren't having to pay all these super inflated prices, which you know that thing just became more of an issue when Vergara didn't want to spend money, and then he started saying, "Well, yeah, I don't want to buy because everyone wants to charge more." And it's true to an extent, but I mean, if you know how to negotiate, if you know how to deal, you'll get the better prices.
well, I mean, you have to be willing to deal, and I think that's the part that I think is missing. Why it's just the Chivas, because of its personnel policy, has to, they have a limited supply for their demand. So prices can be set accordingly with them. They put it this way: Chivas is always buying in a seller's market. Period. Now you say, yeah, I know that you said with Nestor, but I think the time was different then. I mean, that was the dynamic is totally different than it was back then, and there was also a lot more players for them to choose from. Now there are.
Yeah, the rule changed, and it kind of cut off the number of Mexicans available.
Well, there's still plenty of Mexicans available. You just don't know how they can play because they never play.
Yeah,
You know, so that again, that makes it even more difficult. Back in Nestor's days, there were still plenty of foreigners playing. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. But they were only limited to 5, so so there was a minimum of What's 17 times 6? It's what is that? 112?
Yeah, I don't know, John.
102,
I
102, 102. There was a minimum 100 Mexican players playing, and that didn't even count Chivas. So there's 113 players playing at a minimum when necessarily looking for players. Now, let's say on the average there's what, 3 on average.
yes,
So now there's 51 players that Mexican players that play regularly in their own league. 51.
51. Yeah, that's why having a good youth system was very vital, and the club shot itself in the foot for because they kept trying to reinvent that wheel. They already had a system in place that worked,
Well, I think the
and
killer,
then
Joel, and it's something you've talked about in the past, is that they got rid of their filial team.
they did. They had Tapatio, which was Liga de Ascenso, and so they all of the most promising players they would be in that team, and they would play and competitive games because like we saw, for example, you have like Juarez who ended up playing the Copa MX final. Uh, so you have some strong teams in Liga de Ascenso, and that just prepares the youth players more than because the league introduced the under 20. They introduced like an under 20 league, and that's how Chivas justified selling Tapatio. Was like, well, we don't need this club since
You know
there's
what I
an
would
under 20 league and it's
you
just
know what I would do,
cheaper.
Joel? What I would do
Uh, yes,
is if I were Liga MX president, for a day, maybe a week, because your first couple of days you're gonna have a lot of long lunches, and you're not gonna be able to get stuff done, right?
yes,
So you probably need about a week. Okay, if you make the Liga in Liga MX, then those 8 teams can then send their sub-20 teams to play the Liga Ascenso for that season. So that way, there's always 8 teams, 8 additional. So then everyone gets the benefit. There's more competition in the Liga because Liga Ascenso is what, like 10 teams right now. I mean, Liga Ascenso needs to be
I
like
don't even know.
24 teams. It needs to be like 24 teams. And then that way you can start, moving it to, different parts of the country, etc. Have games, and then in the next league, yeah, whatever the top 8 teams are there, then they know then their teams go and play in their sub-20 goes and plays, so that way they can have like a quote unquote filial
Yeah,
and get. See, to me, what's the point of having a sub-20 if they're playing each other? They need to go. Go. I mean, Pumas had that, as Chivas had Tapatío, Pumas had Pumas Hidalgo or Pumas Morelos. I forget which one of the two. And that was there was the same thing. It was their filial team that they would play in the second division.
yeah, they
Didn't
need.
didn't America have like Socio Aguila or something like that?
No, they had San Luis. San Luis was for a lot of
Oh, they
years.
had San Luis, they had Necaxa, they
Yeah.
kind of had
No, no,
Veracruz.
but Necaxa wasn't in, and we're going way back, like in the 90s when about 80% of the Liga de Ascenso were all filiales.
Right,
Uh, but
but it also had
yeah,
like 28 teams.
yeah, and I think you're right. But they would need something we talked about, like one to restructure Copa MX. I think that helps those teams,
Right,
and then have another type of tournament as well, like a one-off, maybe like in England.
right. The
It
League
could
Cup
be,
or whatever.
yeah, it would be cool if they had that too, with like you know covering all the different divisions. But
Right,
you need some of those cups because when some of these teams make a deep run or string, it just builds buzz and it helps overall, and it brings some TV ratings.
I'll
That
tell
is
you the
the
other rule that I like when it comes to lower division. I think the FA Cup says that mandates that if a lower division plays an upper division team, or maybe even like
they
the top
host.
division, they host.
Yeah, see, that's a great rule. That's a very great rule. Because like Juarez, imagine if they would have hosted the final. Wait, did they host the
They
final?
did though. They did it. They did us. I mean,
Oh
if
yes.
it's
So
at the
yeah,
Azteca, it's a different game.
it is. It is. They put up quite the fight. It went, came down to an error. Um, but yeah, it was good. It was good to see that.
Yeah, no, it was definitely it was a great it was a final. It was a final.
Yeah, because I think if America would have destroyed that team, you know, I think that the cup would not, because it's a cup that's still struggling to be
Yeah,
taken
they're
serious.
like in ninth place, or they're like in dead last place in the. Seriously, they are. They've had a rough year in the ascent. So the team that's probably going to come up is going to be the San Luis team.
Yeah, Atletico owned by, well, on percentage owned by Atletico de Madrid. I want a fun fact for Tapatio because they for a long, not for a long time, for a period of time they played in Tijuana, and it's one of the jerseys I look for and I haven't been able to get. It's an old Chivas Tijuana jersey. Uh, I knew a dude that had one, but he wouldn't sell it to me.
He wouldn't sell it
Uh,
to you. Wow, why
he would
not,
not.
bro?
He would not. But it looked pretty cool. But they were in Tijuana for a while, and then that Tijuana team became Nacional, and then they were Inter. Both pretty cool names
Right.
until they got bought out, and they are now Cholos.
Yeah. So there are 15 teams in the Ascenso. I thought it was, but out of the 15, just a small handful of them can actually go up.
Yeah, 15's too little. I agree with you. It should be at least 24.
Yeah, at least 24. But they got some. Atlanta's in eighth. Atlanta's in eighth place. Atlanta. That's just you know. I'll tell you what because that way you could have like the Albinegros Orizaba, which is what a great name. I mean,
No, and John, and I'm thinking about it more and more, and we do need more of these type of cup tournaments, because then it helps a lot of these teams stay relevant. I mean, look at Leones Negros. That's another team that could.
second best uniform in Liga MX.
It all reminds me a little bit about the hot dog on a stick. I start craving lemonade when I see them.
What
But
the stripes?
yeah, the stripes.
Really?
Well, they're a bit darker, but it's almost like the hot dog on a stick
It's just
at the
such a
mall.
cool color scheme. It
It
looks
is. It
so
is.
good.
Um, but yeah, that's a team that should be more relevant, and they're kind of not, and people forget about them.
I
And
asked Tom when they came out because it had been so long since it'd been in I asked him. I said, "So how many Leones Negros fans have emerged from hiding when they ascended a few years ago?" And he's like I was surprised. I mean, people have remembered that the UDG is second only to UNAM in size. So they have a pretty large built-in fan base. It may not be their first team in Guadalajara, but it's probably their second. You know,
yes, yeah. Well, I mean, they had the best attendance when they were in first. They were outdrawing both Atlas and Chivas in their
exactly,
home games. Yeah.
exactly. It's because of the fact they have those cool uniforms. When I was a kid, uh, they wore the black shorts and then the red and the yellow and the black stripe shirts. That was their home, but their away uniform was all white, and that Leon Negro was that's all it had was in the middle of the chest was that drawing of the Leon. It was badass, man. And their away uniforms were really nice too. It was a
Yeah,
good
I
look.
don't. Yeah, I don't know, man. Liga MX just has all this stuff, and it seems like they just keep shooting themselves on the foot a lot of time, like, or they don't know how to make the best out of what they have.
Well, it's because they, they can't look beyond like the 4 feet in front of them. That's always there. There have been a few visionary. I mean, and I would still add Ron's not with us because I'm sure that he can uh, talk more. I mean, folks have made huge strides, but there needs to be something else. They need to take that next step. There's no reason why Liga MX and MLS to a certain degree, the South American tournaments, why they can't do better at marketing themselves on a worldwide scale.
Well, I think for me that's kind of difficult just because it's so saturated. There's just so many games going on now that it's just hard for someone to want to pick up another league.
Well, look
I
at
mean, I have
well, hang
access
on a
to all
second.
these leagues. I don't really watch all of them. I'll just see Liga MX. Every now and then I see a Champions Leagues game, but I'm not. I could watch pretty much if I wanted to, like EPL and Bundesliga and La Liga, but
Okay, so let
I
me
don't,
ask
I
you a
don't have
question.
all
Let me
that
ask you a
time
question. Let me ask
to
you a question.
follow all those teams.
All right. So you only have 90 minutes. Actually, you have 105 minutes because you have the 15-minute half. You have 100. You only have 105 minutes plus stoppage time, of course, to watch a match. And there's two matches on. You have. Let me pick just a really rough one. Let's see. Do what Chiapas is in because you can always, like Chiapas San Luis. Who's gonna watch that, right? So okay. So we'll say you have Chiapas San Luis on one channel, and Getafe Recreativo Huelva on the other. Which one are you gonna watch?
Neither. Neither, John. I'm gonna play a video game or something. that's that's the thing. I mean, I think it's a small amount of that are like hardcore soccer fans. I mean, when I was younger, I would watch as many games as I could.
Sure.
Uh, and but that's just I'm not like that anymore. So there'll be
Okay. Well,
like one game that I
let me ask you
that
another
I
question. Let me ask you another question then. All right. So same scenario, but to be more, say I want you have Cruz Azul Tigres, and the other one you have Valencia Sevilla. Which one would you watch?
Valencia, Sevilla, and what else?
Cruz Azul Tigres.
I'll watch Cruz Azul Tigres.
Exactly. My point is the Liga MX. Look, put aside the skill and then the level of the players and the speed of the game and whatever. Put all that aside. Is Liga MX not just incredibly entertaining?
Yeah, it is, and it has a lot of great stories when you think about it, like with coaches and rivalries and whatnot.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a friend of the show. I mean, Liga MX can change someone's life. Joel. Friend of the show, Tom Harrison, just happened to stumble upon a Morelia game where he sees Justin Montero score a hat trick, changed his life. I'm sure he's listening to the show, and we appreciate that. And thank you, Tom, for listening to the show. But he's now doing. And what is he? He's at Santos. Is he in the coaching department at Santos, scouting or coaching?
He does numeritos. He does just that numeritos. So they do
So
stats
so so analytics. He's
and yeah, analítico. Yeah,
all right.
how many passes connected and how many were tried and how many from what position and whatnot.
So El Numeritos is actually doing numeritos.
Just yeah, just
Wow.
what he liked.
Well, there you go. There you go. Doing, I would have to think that there's probably some recipe for success for playing to a certain way, and if you can find players that do what you think needs to be done in order for you to have success, I can see how analytics could be very, very useful in that.
Yeah,
So hopefully, yeah, but like I said, but to me, what I'm saying, Joel, is that there's no reason why, at the very least, put together like a highlight show. Did you get hooked watching another league because you want to watch all the games, or you want to watch like an hour long recap of the week's games, and they might show you like 10 minutes of the best match or match of the week.
yeah, I preferred those, but I would watch usually to follow the same players, like from the national team. That was one of the other reasons. I mean, every now and then, because there was a player I really liked. I liked watching like Pavel Nedved,
Right,
so I would watch Juventus games because of that guy.
right. Yeah, it was. Well, wasn't he on the Czechoslovakia team or the Czech Republic team when Milan Baros had that just unbelievable run at the Eurocopa? Wasn't Nedved feeding him all those? And Rosicky, man, they had a great team.
Man, you're going pretty back. Were you thinking like 96?
No, 2004.
Oh, because they had around 96, right? When they had Poworski.
Well, they made the final against Germany in '96 in the
Yeah,
Eurocopa.
that was a really good team as well. Man, that's a team that's been at the edge, man. They were yeah, like they were like Croatia. they they've been Croatia longer than Croatia. But
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. Well, I mean, they've made finals too. Croatia was what the third or fourth Eastern European team to make a final in the World Cup.
yeah, man. Yeah, imagine if they were like one. All those countries were just one country.
Right. Well, Czechoslovakia, yeah, but I mean, Czechoslovakia's made it, Hungary's made it, Croatia's made it. Did Yugoslavia even? No, I don't think they made a final.
No, no,
No.
but early on, I think they
Yeah,
would always.
the Czechs have played two finals, if I'm not mistaken. Same with Hungary.
Man, yeah, they need to unify.
But anyway, yeah. So they had Nedved and they had Rosicky. Remember Rosicky?
Yes.
He was really good, and they had Jan Kohler, who was that monster, like 6'9" or whatever it was, bald.
Oh yeah, yeah. I would always get them, and I had like a Pro Evolution, and I would always get that guy. And the Tronco dude, he was literally like the walking trees from Lord of the Rings. just you,
Uh,
if you had like a Pony Reese, you just put him to stand there, and
oh,
Pony Reese could just bank across off of his head into the porteria. Man. You don't even
no
have,
kidding.
just stand there. Dude.
I wonder how many Borghetti goals are assisted by Pony Ruiz.
Oh yeah, that's a
I
great
mean, I mean,
duel.
what a match made in heaven. But though your guy who could score from anywhere in the 18 with his head. Uh,
Yeah, but Pony Ruiz was the one that got away because had he not been capped by Chile, he would have been just phenomenal for the
oh yeah.
selección. And he played in Mexico for so long, and Chile just overlooked him.
How can that happen? I mean, seriously, how can someone who does something like that so well and consistently just how on earth would you not want to have that? Especially in tournaments where the consistency is what's rewarded. Teams that actually kind of string some stuff together that usually are the ones that end up winning. And yeah, to just not. I've often wondered the same thing about Cabinho. How on earth did Brazil not even cap him, like not once? The dude proved all he did was score goals from again from anywhere inside the 18. Head, foot, left foot, right foot, whatever it took. Wow, Bonderis, what a he was pretty good.
Yeah, he was. He was. As one of the players I would have loved to see with the selección, but it wasn't meant to be. Him and Ludueña, when Ludueña was at the top of his game, a very complete player.
Yeah, I remember Ludueña when he was at Tecos, and he was just. I mean, he was good at Santos too, but at Tecos, man, he was the best player in Liga MX for like 2 or 3 years, easily.
Yeah, yeah, man, dude had it all, man.
Woo.
He could score, he could cross, he could score from free kicks, individual, you name it. This guy he had a bit of everything there.
El Achita.
And he had a 1980s flat top to boot, man.
Yes, he did.
What?
If he and Nacho hugged, like, and then if their haircuts touched, they
Would
would get
that be like?
stuck. They would get stuck.
Oh, I thought it was like when the Wonder Twins touched their rings.
Well, it could be like the Wonder Twins, or in the movie Time Cop. Remember Time Cop, where they go back in time, and like your back in time self can't occupy the same space as
Oh
your
man.
as your present time self. Otherwise, your cells like eat themselves or something like that. Yeah,
Oh goddamn.
yeah. Well, how do you think he destroys the bad guy? This is a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie, you know.
Did did Nacho cut his flat top? Is that why we're seeing him do so good?
Oh no, he still got the flat top.
He still has it.
Yeah, he's that ain't going away. You can still, you can still set your watch to it. It's
Who had? But I would like to see is Piojo going back to his mullet, to his 1990s mullet. That was something else, man. That would be my request you know, if I would ever to meet him.
Joel, would you believe me? Would you believe me if I told you that I had a mullet in 1985?
I would, John. And would you wear just one earring?
I never got my ears pierced, and I have yet to be tattooed as well. So
Same here. But I
I
know
am,
that was like the style for a while, just having one earring,
yeah,
have the mullet,
because left was right and right was wrong.
and a red leather jacket.
Or a members only jacket.
I had one briefly.
You had a members only jacket?
Yeah, for a brief period of time only though. I don't know what happened to it.
Yeah.
It
Well,
disappeared.
how old are you? What are you like? Are you 42, 43?
Yes, 42.
42?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think the members only was a little past your time. Or
Yeah, I mean, but there was still a few around, There was that and the Lee Tigre polos.
Oh, La Tigre.
Yeah. You
I
could
remember
still
those.
find some of that stuff if you know where to look for it.
Yeah, when I was in high school, the big thing were the Coca-Cola shirts and Benetton. Benetton was everywhere.
Coca-Cola shirts?
Yeah.
I don't.
Coca-Cola had a clothing line for like in
Man,
1987.
was it brief? It must have been short-lived, John.
It was very short-lived, but it was everywhere for like 6 months.
Damn. I wonder what happened.
I don't know. I do not know.
I don't remember seeing Benetton, just the ads, like the United Colors of Benetton.
Right.
I do. I just remember seeing that. I grew up like South LA, inner city, so a big thing was cross colors and FUBU, for us, by us, and it was clothing with this very vivid yellows and greens,
Right. I remember. I
African
remember
color. Yeah.
Fubu. Yeah.
If you see Martin, the show with
Mhm.
Martin Lawrence, you see some of that, at least the same style of clothes.
Hmm. Interesting. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. When I was in my formidable years, the fashion was not the best.
No, when I
It
was
wasn't as bad as the '70s, but it's pretty ugly.
when I was in high school, it was like they were using the really baggy pants, and then like kids, you had these kids wearing like size 42 pants and even size 50. It just looked weird. If they were too big, it looked like you shit yourself, like
And
you're wearing diapers. I never, but then I remember they did Solo, like this brand where the pant was baggy except for the waist. The waist was to measurement.
right,
Everything else was like super baggy. Yeah, and I couldn't get into that. I see sometimes like because my brother's into the whole lowrider stuff, and I went to one of the shows with him, and they had this like Mexican rapper, and dude looked like a little kid, you know. And he was kind of short, but he's wearing this really baggy clothes, and it looked like a little kid wearing like clothes that's too big for him.
interesting. No, I never. Yeah, that was something that I'm glad I wasn't a part of. Was was that look? So Joel, back to Tomas Boy,
Oh yes, Del
Tomas
Jefe.
El Jefe, Tomas Boy, midfielder for Tigres for years, captain of the Mexico '86 World Cup team, and wore the 10 for the World Cup team, and the captain's armband. There's a reason why he's called El Jefe, a superstar soccer player. As a coach, not so much. He's had his moments, but the failures have certainly outweighed any modest success he may have had as a coach. Why is it, Joel, that really great players uh, don't necessarily always become really good coaches?
Good question. I think it's hard to tell. You know, I'll say maybe one of my guesses is, that they depended on their talent more than someone else less talented that had to like analyze his opponents more, try to figure out ways to become better.
Interesting. So they knew that they didn't have to worry about the other team as much because they knew that they were just better than the other guy.
Yeah, I mean, and sometimes you do stuff that's just second nature to them.
Right.
You know, yeah, but other players that you might have a weakness, then you need to work harder to find a way around that or to improve, or maybe even some dude in the bench comiendo banca,
Right.
starts paying attention to what the coach is doing, or starts really analyzing the games. Cause and I remember something I would do, cause I was in this team, man, and they would always like I was like new to the team, and it was those Sunday pub teams. So it's a bunch of friends, and it's like all weekend warriors. That's the only time they get to play. So sometimes like dudes would get butt hurt if they got subbed out or if they got benched. So as the new guy, they would always like, I would end up like sometimes not even playing. But I remember I would be in the sidelines, and I'd always be like analyzing, like seeing like the other team and seeing what some of the players were doing. or who was messing up. Like seeing where I could find an advantage for when if I did get in the field, I
Right.
knew what I could exploit, or I knew like okay, this guy that's defending, he's playing too high, you know, stuff like that. Or this guy already looks tired, you know, I could see him, so I know if I could like, which I did with one. I did once. I saw one dude, and I could tell he was tired. So I got the ball like 2 or 3 times, and I made that guy chase me with it. You know, like like we were off to the races. I just I just kicked the ball in front of me like far enough that we had to do sprints. By like the third or fourth, this guy was pretty much done.
Joel, you evil genius. So when you would come out, would you have like the ruthless efficiency of Marco van Basten or?
Oh no, I had 2 left feet, Yon.
Oh.
No, actually, I was pretty good at crossing. I just started playing really late.
Well, what did you? I mean, when you said that you had, I mean, are you talking like Santiago Fernandez level missing, or like Gringo Castro level crosses, or what does Gringo Castro look
No,
like
actually,
Andre
my
Pirlo
crosses
compared to
were
you?
no, my crosses were Beckham-esque, Yon. I could,
Inch
I would,
inch perfect are they?
I know I would. That's what I would practice for hours. I would, I would go when I would go to the park, and I would just practice that a lot, like just crossing the ball. So I was good at crossing. I could do like really long crosses. They just weren't, I was playing with Mexicans, so they like a pass that's like 2 feet maybe, and it has to be grounded
Right.
because they want to play the ball to their feet. They didn't want to like run after it or have to bring it down or head it.
Wow. So you're practicing something for hours and hours and hours that your teammates
They hate it.
didn't like at all.
No.
It's interesting. Hey, when did Chaco start becoming a talent on TV?
I can't recall, but I know it was this year. At least if I'm not mistaken.
I
I
got
remember they announced him. I remember he got announced, and that was that. I didn't pay much attention, not really.
yeah. I mean, I haven't watched these shows in forever, so it just caught me by surprise. I have to admit, I was really hoping, and I thought it was really touching when I think it was against Panama, or was it against Honduras? Maybe it was Honduras when Honduras goes up 2-1 against Mexico, and Chaco comes on. And actually, and not only did he come on, but they were calling for him. Like the Azteca was calling for Chaco to come on the field because they knew if because these guys, like they're saying these guys can't do anything. We know he can. We've seen it. He's done it here plenty. And I thought that was a really cool moment for him. They kind of. I mean, he only played for like 10 minutes, wearing a Mexican shirt, but at least they gave him that, like the crowd, they understood and respected his talent and ability, which for Liga MX fans to do is a huge sign of respect, in my opinion, because they don't give it up to people very often at all.
Nope.
So it was it was good to see that even though Mexico lost that game, it was good to see Chaco get that kind of fan response. I was really hoping that Piojo would use him in the Copa America as a send off. I thought that would have been really cool, but it did not. It did not work out for them in that tournament. Should never lost. Should have never tied Bolivia. You can't tie Bolivia, Joel, in the Copa America and expect to advance.
Oh yeah, well, that's a tricky team, but it's one of the more beatable ones.
Right. Back to Tomas. We keep going off on these crazy
We
tangents.
do go, yeah. We're talking about
We need to go.
clothes and
We
whatnot.
need to go back to. We need to So
We need to
it's
stick
a
to the subject, John.
good move or
No,
bad.
no time travel. No.
I'm being a bad host tonight. Is what I'm doing. I'm good move or bad move, Joel, to sign Tomas Boy? Is it because he was the only one that's left, or is it because Pumas, or no, Pumas, good lord, Freudian,
No.
Chivas are going to be in a relegation fight, and he has relegation fight experience?
To me, it's a bad move in the sense that if you're Chivas and you had that long period of when you had the coaching carousel and they were changing coaches every 3 to 6 months, you know, they went like over 10 coaches in a short period of time. Um, and then so you don't want the top talent's not gonna want to work with you because they see the instability. So so I think one thing that they got right with Almeida, where he was allowed to work a long period of time, and they didn't really sack him as much as that he decided to quit. That's the one thing I think a lot of fans
Right.
get wrong, where there's like they fired. No, they didn't fire him. He actually chose to leave. He did not want to work with Jirafa de Anda. He wanted more control, which hey, I respect. But so I mean, at least he got to work along. He got to achieve what he did and got to work. And then they had Cardoso, and you have like 5 games left, and just let him finish the tournament, even if it doesn't get
Yeah.
Liguilla. At least people will respect, even fans, that you know they tried and that he had a fair shot.
Right. And it's also Liga MX. I mean, you go on a 3-game win streak, and you go from 15th to 4th in 3 weeks.
Yeah, and it's so I think if they would have done that, they would have had at least that time to start looking for someone, and they would the new the new coach would have known that they're gonna get a fair shake, not just come in and because you win in a 5 match, you have a poor start of the season that your job's already on the line.
Right.
So I think in that regard, yeah, it makes Chivas look bad, and then they get Coyote and he has for only 1 game and then he's out. You know, first it had been announced as interim and that he was going to finish the season, and after 1 game, he's gone. And then Thomas Boy again, only 4 games, and if that's just seems really bad planning, very bad everything to me. It just looks bad.
Yeah. Just leave the interim for the rest of the year if you're going to make a coach. That way you can take your time and really find a guy before the preseason starts to. I mean, maybe you have to go do a little digging. Maybe you have to go outside of the country. But if you have a certain way that you want to play, then find the guy that's going to make that happen for you.
Yeah, yeah. Now they're talking about, oh no, they're gonna bring a European coach, and it's like what? And then you're gonna start all over again because they had already been working. They had already had something said, planning, and you bring in some new guy, new ideas. So she was just a hot mess. You could tell they lack direction. Like other people in charge, they don't seem to be on the same page as to what direction the team should be in.
Now, is this an aberration, Joel? Is this a one-off for Chivas, or is this their MO? Is this their modus operandi?
Yeah, it's the MO. I'm gonna say it. It's nothing new. It's nothing new. They'll work, or they catch lightning every now and then, and they have it for a couple seasons, and then it's back to the chain gang.
Joel, just because of the fact that you admitted that, and I think that's as a Chivas fan, it's very brave for you to acknowledge and discuss to air out the dirty laundry as it is with Chivas on the show. You're a very pragmatic Chivas fan. I think that because of that, I think that you deserve to feel good, if not just for a couple of seconds. So let's do
What could have been? What could have been, John? No, this team it just lacks proper leadership. I hear people talking about how Vergara needs to return, and he's been a big part of this mess too. He's also like everyone's attacking Higuera. Vergara brought Higuera. you know, he's created a lot of this mess as well. And then Higuera, I found myself having to defend him. There's a guy that I attacked when he first arrived. He blocked me from Twitter for my daily reminders of him being an Americanista and other Mother's Day and whatnot. But I think I don't think he's been as bad as people claim. You know, he's done some good moves. He's just been vilified because you need someone to vilify. Especially when Mati has been elevated to sainthood, and they seem to. Yes, yes. I grew up with that Chiwa song from
It's a
the
good song.
90s.
It's a good
That
song.
was from the 90s. Yeah, it was. They changed it to another song much later, which wasn't so much of a hit.
Is
Because
it
that was from the.
is it this one?
That's the promotora.
Oh, that was I'm
Oh,
sorry, that was a
wrong
wrong song. That
one,
was a wrong
wrong one.
song.
That,
Sorry about that. Sorry
the
about
one
that.
you were playing was a promotora era song, and then
Right.
Vergara had his own song
Oh, you're
much
kidding.
later. More.
See, again, and we had this discussion last week with another Chiva hermano, and it Chivas has one of the greatest city songs on the planet, on the planet. A song that mentions the name of their club in the song. And they don't and they don't use it, they don't sing it. It just makes no sense to me. It has nothing to do with that it's old people music or whatever it is. It's just it's a great song.
Well, they play clips of it, but it's never cut on as like a long chant or whatnot.
Yeah. I mean, well, just the I part, would be just incredible to hear. After they score a goal, if the whole stadium doesn't matter, I mean, I would have chills. And I'm not even a Guadalajara fan. So, Joel, are Chivas fans going to be disappointed in the upcoming Tomas Boy era, or are they going to be pleasantly surprised?
I put it at a coin toss.
Really?
Anything could happen. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, because they face some teams. Uh, Sometimes you face them at the right time, so they couldn't up against Morelia. It's a winnable game. And then they have Puebla. And I would say they're about evenly matched.
And then Tigres, which he and Tigres haven't they broke up. Tomas Boy and Tigres, they do not have a
They do
speaking
not.
relationship.
But yeah, Tigres and León. But the thing with those two teams, they're going to be qualified. And if I'm Tigres and I've been playing Conca Champions and I'm about to play Liguilla, and I got I think it's May 2nd. It's going to be the Conca Champion final.
Right.
I might want to rest a few players. And same with León.
Leon is we talked about them a little bit last night, and just another amazing an amazing story in Liga MX to see a team just How unfortunate it is for Leon that they've played outstanding soccer and are in first place in the league. And so they're and what is that going to get them? Absolutely nothing. They don't get anything out of that, other than the number one seed in the tournament. But they've won 10 in a row, and that's 30 points. That usually is going to give you the minimum, or the number of points you need to qualify for the Regia. So I guess they have that working for them. But yeah, they have been impressive. They have certainly been impressive. And it's your boy JJ Macias, Joel. That's him and Mena that have been, mainly Mena, scoring all these goals to win these games. And of course, it's Nacho. Is it el efecto Nacho, Joel?
I do think, yeah, I agree. I think it's the coach, and he knew how to get the best out of those players.
El Sargento? We appear to have lost Joel for a moment. We'll see if he comes back, and then that is the question with Leon. Is it the players? Is it the coaching? Does it just all come together? It is unfortunate that we don't have someone who meticulously watches Leon. Maybe we'll have that for you guys next week. Hopefully they'll be able to keep their streak alive. And if I'm not mistaken, if they get the next win, it becomes a Liga MX record. So we'll see how that plays out. Joel, do we have any other pressing topics, or are we done for the evening?
Just one last one. I forgot to mention the other day, Abel Pardo. He's sort of like contracted by Bundesliga as some sort of spokesperson, and he was talking about how the league wants to take at least four Mexican players to Bundesliga.
Hopefully to play soccer.
Yes, Edson Alvarez being one of the prime candidates.
Man, I would love Edson Alvarez to go to Bundesliga. I think Bundesliga is a great league to, it's much more competitive, and it's also a very entertaining league. I think it's very underrated. I would prefer to see Edson go to Bundesliga than to go to play for Ajax. Honestly, I think Germany's a much stronger league. But Edson Alvarez. So what team would he go to?
Probably Frankfurt to make up for the other guys we sent them.
What do you mean to make up for it? Well, Marco Fabian had a great run for him, but he got hurt. He had to have back surgery.
It's did.
Marco Fabian's fault. He became a really good player. Just a solid European player, Marco Fabian. Good for him. It was unfortunate that Osorio did not rate him, because I think that Mexico would have, certainly had a different feel if he was on, just because he was a great risk taker and a great. There were no shooters on that team that Mexico had. That was all finishers. That they didn't have a shooter. Very, very unfortunate. He would have fit the bill nicely.
Have you kept up with Fabian at the Philly Union?
I haven't kept up with him, and that's something else we need to talk about. But I haven't kept up with him, other than just reading some Philly beat writers. But I know that he's scored a couple times. He's missed a penalty. He got a red card for something. So he's playing. He's a good player. Again, it's but I haven't. I mean, I don't think. I mean, he's certainly putting the effort in, as one would expect. I think Fabian ended up being a good professional. I think he learned how to be a pro in Frankfurt. Fabian.
Yeah, it's too bad about his injury. Inopportune.
It was. I mean, he was on 2 World Cup teams and only got to play like. Did he come on against Brazil?
Man, I don't even remember.
I think he did, and I think that he was like he actually provided a pretty decent spark. So it's like, where has this been, Osorio? But I can't remember. But yeah, that one you wanted to quickly remove from your mind that particular match.
Yeah, but four players. I forgot the name of the other ones. But Alvarez, all signs are pointing to him leaving Liga MX at the end of the season.
Right.
So yeah, I forgot the other two. One was from Pumas. One player mentioned is a Pumas guy.
That is shocking.
That is
Oh,
shocking.
is it
Young guy.
Mosso?
It's with
The,
yes, with an M.
yeah, he's been
That's him.
the only. Yeah, he could be like a Philip Lahm, honestly. I'm not
Oh,
saying it would be as good as Philip Lahm, but if Philip Lahm can have success in the Bundesliga, Mosso could absolutely have success in the Bundesliga. He's really good. Yeah, I think he's going to be on the Olympic squad, so he might have a chance to, he might work his way into the rotation in a couple of years. Well, that's great. I would be very happy to see that happen.
yeah. Okay, so Jonathan Gonzalez is
Right.
another guy. Cesar Montes.
Good.
Yeah. Edson Alvarez. And the guy you mentioned, I keep forgetting his name.
Alan Mosso.
There you go. And Jesus Angulo from Santos. Oh, he also mentioned Victor Guzman. So that's some of the guys that he he is promoting to make a jump to Bundesliga.
Well, that it says more about the name that isn't there than it does about the names that are there, and it was obviously
Oh, is it
it was
trophies?
La Chofis. That's right.
Oh, oh man.
The trash talking Juanita made some comments about La Chofis the other night that I cannot repeat even on this podcast.
Oh,
And as a card carrying trophy chaser,
ouch.
it was yeah, it was quite yeah, it was quite shocking, honestly. No, but that's good though. That those are players who definitely have the skill and the ability to succeed anywhere in any league in the world, I think. So hopefully that'll Mexico needs more of that. They need, again, it's not just nice having 10 or 15 guys. You want to have 10 or 15 guys playing in La Liga. You want to have 10 or 15 guys playing in the Premier League. And playing in the Bundesliga and in Serie A. That's what Mexico national team fans should aspire to. To have 50, 60 guys playing at the highest levels of the sport. Mexico has that, then you can start thinking about making it to a semifinal, not a quinto partido, a semifinal. Until that day arrives, though, Joel, it is a long way off, but it is good to see. And the other player that I wanted to mention, Joel, who is someone who, you might be neighbors with, is Carlos Vela, who is just demolishing the MLS, right? I mean, just absolutely just crushing it with le queda chiquitito la liga. I mean, it's just it really is.
But that's a good thing. No, I think you're right, but it's a good for the image of Mexican players. Uh, we don't have that many that go and that they're such a big influence, which is why everyone's been bullish on Jimenez. It's almost like an overnight sensation. He always had his fans, but now everyone seems to be big on Jimenez lately for what he's doing in EPL. And I know people dislike MLS or we bring it down, but it's also important to establish a presence in this league, which sadly most Mexican players haven't been able to. It's been pretty sporadic. Campos, Claudio Suarez, but nothing to the level of what Vela is doing.
Yeah, and the fact that he's doing it with so much just almost pedestrian ease is it says as much about his quality as it does about the overall quality of the league. It's a you can read what you will from both of those things. But he is clearly, at least at the start of the season, been the league's best player.
Yeah, and that's one team that I think it's one of the teams because MLS, they're similar to Liga MX where you have the clubs that go and build strong squads, and then the other ones that are just scraping by.
Right.
So LAFC is obviously one of the teams along with Galaxy that
they're committed.
They're committed because Galaxy just brought in a Costa Rican defender that was in Serie A, and most likely also a national team player. So they keep strengthening their squad, and I'm guessing right now Galaxy I think it's the number one team in MLS, but those two teams could be headed to Conca Champions next year, and I would say that they would provide much more competition than Kansas and
Yeah.
and the like. And so I mean to see Vela, imagine go up against maybe Tigres or what have you, America.
You know what you want to see, Joel.
Oh, we're not there yet. I would like to see Vela in Chivas. He said,
Oh no.
"Hey,
I'm saying you want to see LAFC play Chivas.
oh, I would love that, but I mean, and I'm sure it's gonna happen. But
honestly, Joel, how much conflicting? I'm not saying for you, but how much conflicting emotion would there be in Los Angeles if LAFC played Chivas? Honestly.
oh yeah, it would for like a lot of the newer fans, you know, very much younger fans,
Because
especially
LA is a Chivas town.
it is. But what's going on? It's that, and this is something I try to tell people like it's cool if you don't like the league, but if you go to the stadium, you have a good time. There's some good entertaining games, and there's nothing like seeing live football. Uh, and
Have you been going to the LAFC games? What?
No, I moved sadly. I plan with Profe Cambia, and I will be making some plans to catch a few games, and then hopefully go to one of the Tráfico matchups, which won't be till like June, I think, June or July.
They're gonna have to start playing that thing at the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, they will eventually. You're right, John. I do think it's gonna get. It will get eventually to that point.
Honestly, they would be stupid not to. I used to play, one of those a year there.
Yeah, and I think if they had one, they could easily draw about 50.
Here's imagine you know how they do. You have seen me post pictures when I go to the Texas OU game where they have, one half of the fans are dressed entirely in orange and the other half are dressed entirely in red.
Yeah.
And then of course my favorite picture that I send out when when Texas wins and you see one half of a stadium completely full wearing orange, and then a smattering of folks over on the other side because it just they've cleared out.
You know,
That's a
you
good.
know, it's a very interesting you bring that up. I haven't heard anyone say it, but and I'm thinking about it. And it's like, yeah, if they made some accessible tickets, $20. I mean, cause look, you have Vela and you have Zlatan, man. You're not gonna
Well,
get to see
who?
players of that caliber every day, and
Right.
and you don't have to be a fan of the teams, just to see those players. Cause I mean, what they do is still phenomenal. I mean, I will go see them play a Cascarita. So I mean, I do think if they were to have like something like that at the Rose Bowl, I think easily they could get about 50 to 60,000
Oh, I bet you
fans.
they'd get more than that. I bet you they'd get. I bet you they'd sell it out.
Wow, wow, that's mighty bold of you, John. Uh, well, I don't know. I mean, the timing also counts.
Well, sure, but I'm saying, I mean, if they do it like in May, June when there's nothing else going on.
Yeah, well, the match is it's like in June, I think. But I think it's in the Gold Cup gonna be being played around that time.
Well, the
Uh,
Gold Cup starts June 15.
yeah,
I don't.
I
Do you
gotta
think Do you
recheck.
think Bella's going to be playing for Mexico? I think he's going to be playing for LAFC.
Oh, I don't know, man. Tata didn't say anything. Uh, they're gonna need him because the guy that might not get called up is. Wait, we might not need him. We have Jimenez, dude. Jimenez plus 10.
Yeah,
But
but
but the Chicharo won't, because his son is gonna be born around that time.
yeah, the Saint Chicharo's not going to be there either.
Yeah, well, because he said he rather, you know, he understands. Tata Martino said, "Well, I understand, and I'd rather he not get called up instead of like coming in and then having to leave and then coming back. Probably feels he'll be too distracted." But yeah, I don't. He seems open to it. I could see him, especially with the team. If they stay on track with how they're playing, they will be in a good spot. Where I mean,
And I'm
they,
just, I'm just going to stop you right there. Chicharo, I think, has earned the right to do whatever the hell he wants with the national team.
I
Personally,
agree.
if he wants to, be on the team and then leave for a few days to go have the birth of his son and then go back, I have zero problem with that. But
But you know what? You know what? Because he did that to get married. Uh, so unless
well,
Tata is looking up for Chicharo, could have been like, you know what? I'd rather not because of this. And I could see Tata just, making the excuses for putting himself, shielding Chicharo from any criticism or whatnot.
I mean, again, I just don't. I mean, I just don't see why. Again, I think Chicharo has earned the right to,
No, I agree.
yeah,
I,
to make those kinds of decisions for himself, and at the end,
yeah, well, I mean, it's not set in stone. I do think it's gonna come down to Chicharo, and so we'll see what happens. Um, Although it's likely that he will not. But if he doesn't, I don't think it will be because Martino told him don't.
right.
Uh, Even though that's what he said, I do think it'll be up to what Chicharo decides is best for him.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, there's Raul, there's Alexis Vega, who's just he's done so well for Chivas this year, scoring all three of their goals. No, but I mean, if Chicharo plays or not, it's it should be up to him, and again, I think that he has the hierarchy to to have the you know anyway, I just think that he should be. If anyone deserves special privileges, I think it's a player like him, just because of how he's always played for the national team and in friendlies and official matches. It's he always delivers. So excuse me. The Gold Cup schedule did come out. I was mistaken last night. They actually open up with Cuba at the Rose Bowl. Mexico does. So okay, so here's the question: who would sell out or who would sell more tickets, El Clásico at the Rose Bowl or a Mexico Cuba Gold Cup match?
Wait, which clásico?
El Tráfico.
Nah, I'll say Mexico.
Mexico Cuba. No, Mexico Cuba Gold Cup or El Tráfico. What event would sell more tickets?
Yeah, Mexico.
Mexico.
Yeah, I just think there's still more passion for El Tri right now. But I think that's how Tráfico works to it. Host making that because when they only play like twice or whatever, it's a new. They just started playing last year. They need to build it up. They still need time, but this is one of the ways they do it. They make the match bigger than life.
Sure.
Instead of those 20K stadium, hosted in a big stadium. And make a big deal about it and promote it. And they have the players. They now have the players to do that. So I think they could build up to it where I could see that being a big thing in LA. Imagine that would be a big thing where even people that aren't that much into soccer will go see just because it became a thing.
Right.
Yes, John. I think that this is where I call it a night.
All right, Joel. Well, it was. I was hoping we'd have other folks join us, but it did not happen, Joel. But it was nice to be on with you. I think we covered a lot of the bases.
Yeah, we did. And next week will be pretty interesting as the league comes to a close. We get a better and better picture of what to expect, and we'll need to bring in Weasel or another Leon fan, and also I think we have the big Clásico Capitalino, all this Clásico talk, and the Capitalino's up next, and it's gonna, again, to me, it's gonna be a big deal for Cruz Azul.
Yeah, Cruz Azul, who has quietly worked their way back into the Liguilla picture, and will probably get the 26-point threshold needed to make the playoffs. I think they're at 19 right now, so I think that's something that they'll be able. But they would take a big step in reaching that number if they pull off the big win against the Cruz America at the Azteca, which of course is Cruz Azul's home temporarily right now as well. So
yes,
we'll see how that works out for them. Well, always a pleasure to have you here on the CantinaMX podcast, as you know, and glad that you were able to join us. We will talk to you again next week, Hoyt. I have playoffs next week, so I'll be in Dallas and Oklahoma for most of my week next week. We'll see. I'm sorry.
Will you be able to come on? Will you be able to come on the show?
On some of those days, yes. It should be no problem. But yeah, like on Thursday, that's something that I'll be able to do.
Or a more midnight ride?
Well, we can certainly do that too. I mean, I don't know how much of our audience appreciates those, but I know I certainly appreciate them. They are they're a lot of fun for me, even though sometimes my connectivity isn't as good as it
Yeah,
could be.
I lost you a few times, like 3 or 4, man.
Well, hey, I'm on the, I'm on my phone hotspot, so
Ah,
I
okay.
think what I need to do is I need to teach you how to do this so that you set it up, and then I just call into you.
That's true. That's true.
So
Which that would make more sense.
yeah, it
Okay,
would
we'll
be all right,
work on
Hoy.
that.
Well, all right, Hoy. Well, we will turn you loose and turn our audience loose as well. So we do appreciate y'all joining us here in the CantinaMX podcast. My name is John Jagu. We will do this again next week. We will definitely
Okay.
keep you posted. And of course, you can listen to these podcasts, have them delivered to you straight to your phone by subscribing on the on iTunes or on Google Play. That's where we are. And of course, you can listen to it on our YouTube page as well. My name is John Jagu. We will talk to you guys next week. Thanks very much for joining us.